Hi everyone, Rose here. So I am bringing you right now my current reads, aka what I read in December and January, and at the very end of the video I have some honorable mentions and also a music recommendation. There are timestamps in the description box for your enjoyment and your convenience. Yeah, that's the word. Okay, so let's jump into it. First up, we have Unmarriageable by Soniah, Kamal. I knew that. This is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and oh my goodness, if you don't know anything about Pride and Prejudice, all you need to know, there is a woman from the lower class meets a guy from the higher class. They have some prejudices and some misunderstandings of each other. Eventually, they resolve those particular issues, but throughout the story, throw in some social and family drama, and there you go. That's pretty much all you really need to know. Now, Unmarriageable, it pretty much follows that story beat for story beat. If that's not your jam, this is probably not the story for you. As a whole, this aspect didn't really bother me, and I think probably one of the saving graces of it is for the sheer fact of where the story takes place. And the story setting is in modern Pakistan. And honestly, if this story had taken place in somewhere that I am familiar with, particularly the US, I honestly would not have picked this book up. With that in mind, I enjoyed this story as I was reading it. Simple as that. The most successful aspect about this particular story, I would say, would be the family dynamics with the Banats, as they are called in this story. Although character development was a little bit hit and miss in general, and the least successful aspect about this book is definitely the romances. Like any of them, but we're gonna focus on the main romance between Alice, yes, that's correct, and Valentine, aka Darcy. Now, beyond just stating the fact that their romance, it was not developed well, and at no point did I ever feel like there was any sparks between the two main characters. I think there are two prominent issues with the romance. One, Darcy was not really a fully fleshed out character, and he was kind of forgettable, at least to me. Number two, so in the original Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth, she has a turning point of when she starts to change her mind on Darcy, and that happens around the 50% mark in the story. But in here, and things go on from there, but in here, that happened later in the book, and I think a bit too late in the book, so when revelations and love revelations happened, it fell a bit flat and it felt a bit hollow for me. Coming back around to the fact that this takes place in Pakistan, so Jess Owens, she had a conversation starting point, I should say, so to speak, about how non-white authors should not need to take on the responsibility of constantly explaining to people about things outside of their culture and whatnot. Jess makes a lot of great points, and again, this is definitely a conversation to be had, and for her full thoughts on that, I will link her video in the description box below. But in the case of Unmarriageable, I would say people who are from Pakistan or already very familiar with the culture there, you might find it unnecessary and a bit annoying. For example, of how many times in the book when Urdu is spoken, directly after it, it's always immediately translated into English. And for any of the Desi references, everything was always italicized, I guess, to highlight that this is not a Western thing. Not really sure. To focus briefly on the Urdu for a hot second, for me, I don't think it was necessary for the author to constantly, immediately translate it into English, because from a storytelling standpoint, there we go, context should help the readers understand what is being said, or at the very least, Google it, So, in general, what are all of your thoughts on this particular topic of authors feeling the need to explain things to people outside of their culture? I think there is a very nuanced conversation to be had. So, to summarize everything, in conclusion, I found this book to be perfectly fine. I don't think the author is a bad writer by any means, but at the same time, I would not say that I found the storytelling nor the writing style to be particularly remarkable. And as well, there is content warning in this book for fat shaming, fat phobia, colorism, the shaming of women who are not able to bear children. And as well, after reading some reviews of this book, I did come across a reviewer who said that the representation of Muslims in this book was not great, a bit negative. So bear all that in mind. Next up, I'm going to talk about Curse You, Refrigerator! Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Can you see that? Yeah, this is a Western classic. I forgot to mention that this story starts off and takes place in New England in the middle of the Civil War in the 1800s, and then proceeds to take place over about 15 years of the March family's life. This is very much a character-driven and character-focused story, so if you are the type of reader who really enjoys plot-driven stories, this may not be the book for you. Also, this is kind of slow-paced, so keep that in mind as well. It definitely didn't bother me. I really enjoyed this book. I got invested with the March family, so I felt it when, characters made mistakes. I felt it when good things happened. I felt joy along with them. There was a couple moments when I just had to take a break so I wouldn't full out cry when heartbreaking things happened. So the characters in the story, it made me feel, and damn it, that's all I really want to do. I want to feel something for characters, and I did, so great job. The characters felt real because they were all flawed. Nobody felt perfect, although the dad, there's something kind of perfect about him. I'm not sure. I feel like a whole other conversation, but in general, flawed people, love that. Okay. I'm going to be that basic bitch and say that Jo is definitely my favorite of the March sisters, which is Jo, Amy, Meg, and Beth, because I just loved her energy, her vibrant spirit. And when it comes to Amy, it took me a while until around page 300 something. I finally got on board of the Amy train. She's cool. When it comes to the romances of the book, I feel a little bit torn on this particular topic because I never 100% got on board or bought into any of the romances that went on here, but I do want to make it clear I'm not mad about any of the romances that happened. So there's that, which means I would definitely say that the friendships and the family aspect about this entire book is what was most enjoyable and most successful to me. But I can't not talk about some spoilers for the romance, so I'll have it on screen, spoilers. Indulge me, please. I need to talk a little bit about some spoilers. So, here we go. Meg. The build-up to Meg and John Brooks' relationship, I don't know, something about it just didn't quite hit for me. But, once they were married and they were together and what have you, I was fine with it. Yeah, no particular strong feelings about that, so we're gonna move on to Amy and Laurie. I feel weird about that one. So even though Laurie does eventually move on from his romantic feelings for the character Jo, but for him to then, have a romantic relationship and eventually marry Amy, it's weird, y'all. It's weird for me. I can't fully articulate it clearly, that it sits a little odd for moi. Again, I'm not mad at the pairing, but I'm just a little bit about it, Now for Jo. A vast majority of the story, Jo made it very clear that she is just fine being on her own. She doesn't really care for romance. She is all about that independent life, Therefore, the change that happens with her towards pretty much the very end of the book, it doesn't quite sit right for me. And I do think the author handled it pretty well with Jo's change of heart on this, but I still don't really fully buy into it. I'm sure there are people who have this kind of change of heart, but particularly because it happened so late, it's just strange because Jo's character had already been so firmly established. And I do think that if this book had been written today, I believe that Joe's character would probably have been written on the ace spectrum. Some things to think about. And okay, spoilers over. It's a charming read, start to finish, and frankly there are a lot of great lessons in this entire book, not just for the characters, but I think for us, the readers as well. Love that. And 4 stars from me. Doesn't quite hit 5 stars. Can't tell you why, but 4 stars is still freaking solid. Again, hello, I really enjoyed it. And this is definitely a book that I will come back to multiple times in my life. Yay! Okay. Next we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a nonfiction book, and it is truly a self-help book on how to get your shit together by way of creating good habits. Am I in focus? Distracted. Yeah, I think I'm in focus. Ah yes, back on track. So how does one go about creating good habits? How does one go about breaking bad habits? Fear not. The author has you. I listened to this on audiobook, and it's narrated by the author himself. He did a great job. And his writing and thus his advice, it was very clear, it's easy to follow, and he always has a ton of examples to, you know, help get his points across. And there was definitely a positive tone throughout the entire story, so I certainly appreciate that. And a favorite too many words trying to come out at once. A favorite element of mine was that at the end of every chapter, he would summarize what he just talked about, and he would highlight the big takeaways. Yeah, and there are so many great points that happen in this book, but I picked out a few golden nuggets that I want to share with you. 1, it is all about the systems, the process, not the goal. Number 2, make bad habits difficult to accomplish. To break a bad habit, make it impractical to do. And number 3, habits are based on frequency, not time. For example, working out for 5 minutes a day is much better than trying to work out for an hour a day when you know you don't have that kind of time. In conclusion, this book is definitely something I will come back to again and again to, what's the word I'm looking for? Refer to. Got it. To refer to again and again. It's a 5-star read from me. Highly recommended. Now the honorable mentions is a book, a graphic novel, and some fan fiction. Listen. Nary a day goes by when I don't read fan fiction. I read it so much, and I just want to briefly say that in the month of December and January, I probably read at least 3 stories that were novel length, several that were novella length, and multiple stories that were like long essay lengths. Okay, I've done a shit ton of reading in general, and frankly, like, fan fiction, it's legit reading. It counts. I don't know why I'm so worked up about this, but I just wanted to put that out there. I'm good. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the other 2 things. The book, which is, I got it right here, The Song of Achilles. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Y'all, I already did a 2-part vlog on this, and as well, let's get some other visuals. The graphic novel. I also did an entire video dedicated to The Old Card, Book 1, Opening Fire by Greg Rucka. I feel like this is a tease to say, look what I read, but I'm not going to tell you right now what it's about, because I already did videos on them, and how else am I supposed to get y'all to go watch those? So if they interest you, that's linked down below. Okay. Oh right, the bonus chatter. The music. Okay, so I have one music recommendation, specifically an artist from Egypt. His name is Mohammed Saeed. I just recently, and by just recently, I mean this past week, discovered him via the YouTube music, and the best way I can describe his music is it's chill R&B mixed with alternative. It's pretty mellow and soothing. So, okay, picture, if you will, it's a fine autumn day. It's cool outside. It's cool enough that you can wear your favorite layers. You're wearing some kick-ass boots. You're taking a stroll outside, taking that crisp, fresh air, and you're listening to this like hella soothing voice in your ears, and you're just walking around and you're just sort of contemplating life. That's the vibe that I get from this guy. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I could definitely not review music, clearly. But it's okay. Simply put, digging his stuff. I will link his YouTube channel down below. Y'all should check him out. Yeah, okay. We are now at the end of the video. Hello to it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please take care, everyone. Like and subscribe if that feels right to you, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye! It's past lunchtime. I've had a banana so far, and the crinkling you hear is I'm eating, it's a Thai dessert called Khnom Ping, and oh my god, how would you describe this? The closest thing I could compare this to would be, is it vanilla wafer or something like that? It's crunchy on the outside, but when you bite into it, it turns into an almost marshmallow texture. It's trying it for science. It's slightly sweet, I get. Is that really a vanilla flavor? I'm not sure. Slightly sweet, and it has almost like a flavor as if it's been cooked over a fire. I don't know if I just made that sound unappealing, but it's super tasty. Highly recommend this to have with coffee. Excellent. Yeah, I need some real food after this. Anyways,